So I have to confess something to you. I'm old enough, if you like, that one of my favorite movies from when I was growing up was The Russians Are Coming.
I'm even old enough to have seen that.
And I just wondered if someone like Norman Jewison, you know, I think one of the great underappreciated filmmakers actually, you know, he had a skill set that a lot of directors don't have anymore, and I wonder if you agree with that. That's my humble opinion.
Well, I don't know if I put it that way. All I know is that I loved working. You did have some skills that I've already seen in other directors. And one of them, people skills more than anything else. As well as he knew every aspect of what it's like to be a director, his people skills I thought were extraordinary. He created a sense of community with that film that I've hardly ever seen since. And a sense of we used to get together a lot as a group that he would be in charge of. And
were you all marooned together in this location, kind of? Were you in Maine or something?
No. We were in the West Coast. We were in Fort Bragg, California.
Really?
Yeah.
You fooled me.
Well, that's the idea. We were making a movie. It wasn't a documentary. No, thank you.
So when you look at someone like, I don't know why, I just think of Norman Jewison as having this, he was able to do comedy, he was able to do drama, he was able to get down to the pathos of something, and yet there's this moment where you're walking down the street. I know, did people come up to you and like quote lines to you, always the same lines over the course of your career, and it's like annoying?
Thank God it stopped with the Russians are coming finally. The Russians coming stopped about 10 years ago. And then for about 20 years it was Serpentine. And now, thank God, there's a little lull in that. But I have a feeling with this movie it may be, go with yourself.
You managed to milk it quite well. So tell me what some of the skill set is for Ben Affleck. What has he got?
Ben's got everything. He's got absolutely everything. He's just got command of every aspect of the media. Right at his fingertips. He doesn't have to reach for it. He's got an exquisite understanding of the technical aspects of the media. He knows lenses. He knows film stock. He knows the difference between film and digital. And he's aware of the political situation, very keenly aware of that. He's aware of he obviously knows acting, so he's got it all at his command.
When you came back with Little Miss Sunshine after which was the sort of biggest movie you had done for a while, what were you doing in the period before that? What were you up to, and how did it?
What was I doing?
Yeah. Kind of a lot of smaller films, or
I was doing
the same thing? It's the same all along?
Stuff I've been doing I've written 10 books over the years. I published a book last year that got great reviews and is selling fairly steadily. Kind of a memoir. And I wrote a play and directed it and acted in it, and that ran on Broadway for a year. Could have run forever, but I didn't want to be in it anymore. So we shut it down. I've been in a lot of movies, but I guess they weren't as successful as Little Miss Sunshine, so they didn't get as much attention.
Yeah. So when you saw this script, did you jump up and down, I've got to do this? How did it come to you?
It came to me the way everything comes to me. It came to me through my agent, my manager, and they said, my agent said that she'd been fighting for me to get this for a while. And I read it, and I just immediately said yes. I mean,
did you know John Goodman was involved?
No, I didn't know. I of course knew his work, but he and I had never met. But the minute we met, I just felt incredibly comfortable with him, and we've become friends.
So, did you base this character on anyone known? I mean, he sounds like a Coppola or something. I was just trying to figure out who he might be. And who was he in real life?
My character? No, Coppola's more grand than my character.
Because he was in Cannes. He won something in Cannes, right? I was trying to say, who could that be? American producer.
My character reminds me of the people I've worked with. My character reminds me more of Jack Warner than anybody I know. Yeah. He was a little bit like Jack Warner.
So you knew Jack
A
Warner?
little bit, but he was very, very vivid. You only need to meet him for 5 minutes to have a very strong branded impression of who he was.
And he was scary, Jack Warner. Not so much when he was older.
Well, it wasn't scary for me because I wasn't a studio actor. I had been hired. I was in a movie at the time at the studio, and I think it was going very well. So he was rather pleasant to me for 5 minutes. Tough. There was no question that he was tough, but he didn't scare me.
So you guys knew that the part of the movie, the spoof, the Hollywood spoof, if you will, was going to be...
It's not a Hollywood spoof. I don't think...
What would you call it?
I would call it a very accurate portrayal of a lot of the way Hollywood works.
It is, but it's funny.
But funny and a spoof is two different things. The one conversation that Ben and I had before the movie started was his making sure that I knew that it wasn't going to be a satire and it wasn't going to be a spoof and it wasn't going to be a farce. And it was very clear to me when I read the script that it had to be
Anchored in reality?
Anchored, yeah, deeply anchored in reality, and that we were still in the same event, although the difference being that with the hostages, they were under a life and death situation. With the situation in Washington, they were under a career situation, where if they screwed up their career, and the country could have been in jeopardy. And so with us, we weren't under either of those guns, so we could afford to breathe a little bit. We didn't have the same jeopardy considerations that the other people in the movie, so it seems lighter.
Well, I think it does seem lighter, but I think it's also, given the tension and the screws that are being applied, it's a valuable, as you know, many movies have, a little bit of comic relief, if in a good way.
Yeah.
You don't.
Well, I get a little nervous when I hear comic relief because it seems like it's out of the event. I feel like
You're part of the story. You're totally part of the story.
Deeply embedded.
And in fact, when you go out to lunch, there's a great deal at stake.
Yeah, the whole thing could have blown up in our faces if Goodman doesn't answer the phone at that right moment. Yeah. No, my favorite pocket, if I have a favorite pocket, is serious comedy, and this to me falls in that category.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else that you're working on that's coming up?
Not at the moment. I have 2 films in the can. But
What are they?
I have a thing that's opening the Chicago Film Festival next month with Christopher Walken and Al Pacino, called Stand Up Guys. Stand Up Guys. And then...
That sounds like an out-and-out comedy.
No, it's not.
It's not.
No. It's got a lot of comedy in it, but it's not. It's got serious things in it too. Then in March I have something called The Amazing Wonderstone with Steve Carell and Jim Carrey. That's obviously going to be a tragedy.
Thank you. You set me up. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Arkin. This has been a pleasure.
Nice to talk to you.